Good evening. Good evening. Today is July 23rd, and I feel a gold rush coming out of Greensboro, North Carolina. We're here inside the Oval with Mike Judge and Tony Dunning. How you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Doing well.
Doing very well.
Come on, Mike. You don't sound excited. Here, let me look at these results here. 15, 16 girls, 3rd, 4th, and 7th. 17, 18 girls, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Is that called pull out the broom and sweep? And 15, 16 boys, 1st and 8th, and 17, 18, 1, 5, and 6. So what can you do better? You want them all? You want all the medal?
I mean, we should have won the 15, 16-year-old girls. I'm not being...
All right, I think we may have a technical difficulty with you, Mike. You're probably in a bad cell.
Maybe, hopefully. Wait 1 second.
Well, also,
my young lady that got 3rd. So all the events, but I guess that's getting greedy.
Well, hey. I would rather be greedy, and now is a time to be greedy. It is Junior Olympic time. Also, sitting in the seat inside the Oval is Tony Dunning. Tony, how are you doing?
Doing great.
All right. Are you the guy that's behind the mic this weekend? Or are you coaching?
No, I got some great guys in there doing some announcing. I'm just spectating this weekend. I might get in that brand new press box and walk around a little bit, check it out.
Get out of that heat, right? Stay in this air condition.
No doubt. I'll be watching the meet from the comfort of USATF.TV.
Well, we got USATF GA TV. How about that? Well, gentlemen, glad that you're on the show tonight. Want to start, want to say congratulations, Mike. You started the Gold Rush. And anytime you start the Gold Rush, hey, it's always a good thing. You know, Georgia's always well represented. And this just kind of rolls in the whole purpose of the show, and we're going to talk about what's going to happen. So who are hot stars there? So, Mike, from the field event, from the throwing event, who are we looking for this weekend?
Well, I think I wanted to make one thing that's a good thing that happened was we had a sibling gold rush where Seth Whitener won the hammer and his brother Josh won the older hammer. So they both couldn't have done any better. And having two siblings grow up in the same household and win two different hammer events is a pretty astounding thing. I wanted to mention that first. Well, in the discus, we have Kenneth Brinson in the 15-16 discus. He has the top seed, and if he has a good meet, he should win. We're looking at in the 17-18 boys discus, a young man named Daniel Haw should get top 3. And we go to the shot put. We're going to have a hard time. Anyone's going to have a hard time beating Ashley Blake. She's the number 1 shot putter in the country. She's going to be tough to beat, but Georgia's got a young lady who's seated 2nd in the 15-16 shot. And then in the that's the 17-18 shot. In the 15-16 shot, Georgia actually has the top 2 seeds, so we should do pretty well in that shot put event.
And what about the javelin?
In Georgia, the javelin's not a very hot event. We have a young man who could probably in 15-16 get top 3. 17-18, I think we'd be real fortunate to get somebody on the award stand.
Now,
so I'm not sure we're going to be well represented in the javelin. It's just not a popular event in our state, and the hammer is not a popular event in most states, so it's not we do a lot of hammer in Georgia, but we just don't do as much javelin.
So we like to twirl versus throw the spear then. Well, let me ask you this.
With Thor, baby, with Thor.
We're thrower, you're right. Hey,
That's gonna be Coach Mike's new nickname, Thrower. Mike Thrower.
Hey, now let me ask you this, and Tony and I always talk about this. What is it that we can do to develop the javelin, since it's such a low producing sport for us?
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you there. Couple of concerns. Javelins are very expensive. When you're talking about a javelin, a decent competition javelin is about $300, and it's not it's not one of those sports where you can just show up and have the implement. Javelin, because you got to buy javelins, and then and you're coaching javelin in the center of your field, and you've got guys cutting across the field. The danger is pretty high. So that's one of the reasons a lot of people stay away from the javelin. If you can have a field with a landing area where you're not endangering your other athletes, I think that helps too. So a lot of us are confined by the space that we have, and trying to keep our practices safe. So I would say one is trying to get the equipment cheaper, and that's something that I have been trying to do for years. And I have found some sources where I can get that $300 javelin now for about $150. It's still $150. It's still expensive, but I've kind of gotten that price down a little bit. And so we do as a club throw some javelin. I've got a couple people in the javelin this week, and one of them should do real well. He should get top 3. The other one, we're hoping he gets on the award stand. But my point is I have, since I've been able to get myself more javelins, I've been able to teach more people how to throw javelin, and we do have this. We're lucky enough to have the space, so we do that. And I guess what I'm saying is as an association, first thing that we can do is have a javelin clinic and teach people about the javelin, and show them where they can buy this stuff. The implement's a lot cheaper. I mean, that would be the first thing I would say is put something together where we're going to teach them how to coach the event, and then show them where to get the implements where they can actually afford them. That's the first thing that I get is people say we can't afford a javelin.
Okay, well, maybe we need to have some javelin contests and develop that sport and get some excitement around it. So, Tony, you're on the inside the oval, so let's talk about the track. What do we got to look forward to this week?
It's gonna be really, really hot on the track this weekend, as most nationals are. We didn't do as great in the combined events as we normally represent pretty well as Denzel did his thing last year. Antoine Denard did get the silver in the youth boys. Had a poor long jump. We had to talk to his coach about what happened there. He only lost by about 15 points, 16 points. So he took that one all the way down to the wire. That long jump might have really, really hurt him. I had a young man finish third in the triathlon for the 9-10-year-old boys. So we started out pretty well. Got a medal in the race walk. We started in the race walk pretty well and enjoyed it. And I know all y'all thinking. I know what you're thinking. About another race walk is a very athletic event. That's really, really tough to do, and it's really, really tough to do at a high level with all the restrictions and the distance and everything. So glad to see we got some things going on there. Jim Norville, who is the race walk chair, has been doing a great job spreading the word about his sport and getting maximum participation in Georgia.
Well,
and tomorrow we move to the track. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I was going to say, hey, don't tell him that. His head will blow off the track, but he always believes that race walking doesn't get its just due. So, Jim, you heard it today. Tony just gave you a big ups for your work on the race walk.
Man, he has been tremendous in terms of someone that's going out there and pushing his weight around in his chair position. He really does a great job of spreading spreading the sport around. We have so many people race walking, and we have several people that are at the top of the game in their age groups within those events. So it's been a lot of fun watching them and watching the kids take to this thing. It's really, really hard. And I used to laugh at it with some of the parents that E1 challenged me to get out there and do it, and I was like, okay, that's all it took from me, and I understand that.
Is that on YouTube? Is there anywhere that we can find that?
No, it's not. Hey. One of their guys from E1 actually won the actually got third in the 12-year-old boy division in the race walk. So we've already got some race walk medals under our belt. We've got some hammer medals. We're going to get some more throwing medals. Look to probably sticking with the field a little bit. We're going to have some people medal in the high jump and some of the long jumps. We're going to do pretty decent in those. Don't maybe see any gold medals in sight. Not really highly seeded. We're definitely a challenge for some.
Now,
but the track starts tomorrow.
So we start burning up at the track. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say one of the bonuses that I have found of this meet so far is they're not charging for parking. And if everybody knows of coming to high school nationals, they were charging $10 a day to get in to park. And the last 2 days, they have not charged for parking, which is a great bonus if you have to come here every day all week. So I just wanted to let everybody know that, because that was a big deal for me. I was expecting to pay literally $60 to park here, and the first 2 days, they haven't charged a penny to park. So that's actually a huge bonus for people who are on a budget.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
pinch phone, knock on wood. We'll see if that continues.
Exactly. So what's the weather like up there, gentlemen? Because typically that dictates some of the times that'll come out of there.
I don't know what you say, Mike. I just got here this evening, and it's very, very nice.
It has been overcast, a little bit humid. We have maybe gotten one sprinkle of rain for about 30 seconds. And that's it. It has been a 30 to 40% chance of rain the last 2 days. Covered by clouds most of the day, but the sun will come out. It'll get real hot, and then the cloud will go over the sun, and it'll cool off a little bit. But it's pretty hot and humid. So the distance people are probably going to be suffering a little bit when they start running, but I think we'll be pretty good in the sprints.
Well, we're going to go to cut to commercial, so we'll be back in about 40 seconds.
Would you like to have your business promoted with your ideals and verbiage? Well, we can help. We can customize your business to say what you want. Voiceovers to fit your business. Send us an email at jazzlist2001@yahoo.com.
And we are back. We're back. All right, I've got Tony Dunning. I've got Mike Judge from the Georgia Association. So, predictions, guys. We never know when one of our great athletes are going to do their thing, but tell me, in your eyes, Mike, who do you think has got a great chance to set the world on fire? Do we have any youth records in jeopardy? Who are the athletes to watch in the field?
Well, I think Noelle Parker in the women's shot. She was a sophomore in the state of Georgia, and came on strong at the state. Shot. So, and fortunately, we have another young lady her age, who's also a sophomore in Georgia. Her name's Lena Morris. She's number 2. And so I think with those two pushing each other, having a very, very good chance to do real well tomorrow. And both those girls, it's always great when the state has the top 2. Our state has the top 2 seeds at nationals, and both of those girls are having a real good year this year. So it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow to see them compete.
Now, who's going to be their top competition? Who's looking to knock them off that throne?
I really don't know. I mean, they are probably, I would say, a good foot or a foot and a half better than the competition that's coming in on the seeds. So I'm not. To tell you the truth, I don't know the people that are going to be competing against them. And my philosophy is, as a coach, I don't have the athletes looking back. We're not worried about who we're seated ahead of. What we're looking at is actually trying to throw a PR ourselves. And so I am Noelle's coach. I'm not Lena Morris's coach. But what I can tell you is Noelle's been having some really good practices. So I think she's going to throw a PR tomorrow, and she's going to make the rest of the competition have to throw a PR to beat her. I think she's been having some real good practices this week, so we're real excited about her.
Okay.
And that sounds really good, Mike. I mean, just for the people that's listening, when you go to one of these huge shot put competitions and watch these young ladies throw, it's a tremendous thing to just watch. So you get an opportunity, you're at the track meet, you see what's going on at the shot put ring. Go over there and watch these young ladies go at each other by the time they get to the finals. It's really tremendous to watch.
And it's really fun too. I mean, it's a different thing. If you're watching the sprints and there's a kind of a pause on the track, come on over to some of the throwing events and take a look, because you may be surprised at how athletic some of these kids are. And I heard during the women's hammer, the 17-18 hammer, the young lady who won weighed about 150 pounds. And everyone kept asking if she was a sprinter, and because she did not look like what you would normally think about a hammer thrower looking like. She actually looked like she was either a sprinter or maybe a heptathlete. And so you'll be kind of surprised when you look at some of these young ladies and say, wow, those are really, really athletic-looking young ladies. So it'll be a lot of fun to see that, and I think you'll kind of maybe you might change your mind on what you think a national class thrower would look like.
So is that a trend, Mike, you're seeing? Is that where you're seeing the athletes become more athletic, or taller, leaner? What do you see?
Well, I think coaches are starting to recognize that your longer levers, so maybe your volleyball players, your basketball players, or your shot discus throwers, because you can't teach size. No matter what a coach can do, you can't make someone taller. So when you're a taller athlete, you have an advantage. So a lot of your throwers are looking a lot more like volleyball players or even sprinters, and because they can just move they just have an advantage because of some of their size, especially the girls that are volleyball players. So when you get to these national meets, you start seeing a different level of athlete. The ones that excel at the national level look a little bit more athletic, look a little leaner, and they can just move a lot quicker. Some of these kids, these shot put discus hammer people, can move really fast, and it's just because their strength to weight ratio is pretty high. They're not overweight, but they're muscular, they're lean, and they can just move pretty quickly.
So they're basically elongating that radius with the long, lean, tall arms and longer levers.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's one of the things. As a coach, I love it when a guy who's 6'6" says, "Show me the discus," and a girl who's 6'2" says, "Show me the discus," because they have such an advantage, and it makes your coaching job a lot easier when your athletes look like basketball players or volleyball players.
Gotcha. So, Tony, on the track side, what kind of trends have you seen recently in the stature and the builds of these athletes? Have you seen any big changes over the last couple of years?
There haven't been any huge changes in the sport over the years. I don't think in the youth division. They still come in all shapes and sizes. You still have short girls and boys sprinting, and you have bigger kids trying to sprint as well. Same thing in the hurdles. You have short hurdlers and tall hurdlers with different techniques. What has changed, the trend is you see a lot better technique, a lot better use of the arms, a lot better lifting of the knees, people flexing their feet in the proper direction. You just see a lot better technique out there. So there's a lot more coaching going on out there and a lot more training. I don't know if it's all good to the point, but I think that is the trend that you see, that you have to be prepared out there these days.
See, because I've seen at the collegiate level, especially on the female side, they've been able to get the tall Joanna Hayes type athletes with the incredible turnover. Not discounting the shorter athletes, but I'm starting to see a big trend to get the taller athletes that steal that volleyball player or steal that basketball player, long arms, long levers, great turnover, just using that athletic ability. And I wanted to see if that's the same type of thing, and that's an old adage, stride frequency versus stride length.
All the time. And there are some tall athletes out there sprinting. You'll see Candace Hill in the 14-year-old division. She's a longer, leaner athlete. She's ranked up there in the top here in representing the state of Georgia. She's long. But you won't see a whole lot, not yet. I know the athlete you're talking about, and the fastest human in the world that's kind of helped start that trend of bringing some taller kids and trying to get their turnover a little better and making them into sprinters and hurdlers. So I see what you're saying as well as just jumpers. They're doing a lot more sprinting. But to see them compete at the more elite levels, it's few and far between. I know the young lady from LSU, Duncan, who was pretty tall, the young lady from Central Florida, very tall. So I understand what's going on, especially in the young ladies, getting those bigger athletes to sprint.
Right, and on the male side, I'm not seeing, I won't call them exceptionally tall athletes. I'll say maybe 6'2". If you see a 6'4" athlete, Carl Lewis type height, they're pretty rare. Most of those guys are wide receivers in the NFL, and we see them on Sundays. But I started to see that trend on our women's side and starting to see not much trend on the male side. But I did see them starting to lean out a little bit, not the the super huge chiseled athletes. I'm starting to see the leaner athletes that are not having to carry much mass anymore because, football player is one thing, but, a track athlete doesn't necessarily need all that mass because it doesn't correlate to turnover and speed down the track. Now,
that's definitely true.
Now, let's go play in the sand a little bit.
Because of our correlation in the younger age groups with football and with track, you'll still see that power football athlete running the sprints in track, and you'll still see quite a bit of that. There'll be some differences that you'll see here and there, but for the most part, you still have those power athletes sprint.
So, of course, we got to go play in the sand. Now, where are my long jumpers? Who are we looking out for this week? I mean, Denzel Harper, obviously, big shout out to Quicksilver, of course. But, Denzel is at the bottom of the age group. What do we expect from Denzel? Is he going to be in the mix, or is it going to be a rude awakening? Welcome to the big boys.
Well, I think he's already experienced that. I think he's moving past that and maybe settling in. This is a big stage, and we know he has performed on the big stage before. So I think he's probably settling in now. Say, okay, I've got my butt kicked here, I've got my butt kicked there, but I'm ready to go out and do some business. And I think he's going to do some good work. But again, being 15 is the toughest age because he's a hurdler, because he's a jumper. It's the toughest age. I used to think it was 13, but it's 15 when you're trying to be a hurdler because you're doing an event that you've never done before. And you may have been running track for the past 7-8 years, but you've never ran 110-meter hurdles at 39 inches. You never ran 400-meter hurdles at 36 inches. And you're running against athletes that have at least a year under their belt of doing that. So it's really, really difficult to compete at that age, unless you are just a physical specimen.
Exactly. Now, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Tia Jones. What do we expect from her?
Tia comes in here. She's at the bottom of the age group. She comes in here with the fastest hurdle times in history already. So we expect her to dominate the hurdles and possibly set a couple of national records, which will be great for her being at the bottom of the age group. It means she'll have a chance to come back next year and break her own records, which is very, very rare for an athlete that age. Her challenge is going to be in the two sprints, the 100 and 200 meter sprints, where she'll come in seated third in the 100, I think third as well in the 200, even though she has some faster times than what's posted. But you got those sprinters that's been sprinting a long time, Simone Mason from Florida, Lauren Williams from California coming in here. They're not going to let the little youngster upstage them here, so it's going to be tough for her in those events.
Now, what would you say is her best? I mean, what's her strength? I mean, is she a gamer? Does she just love to win, or what is it?
She lives for the win, I believe. She is hooked. She's hooked on getting first place, and that's a great thing to be. She's going to step up when the lights come on. She's going to step up, and she's going to give every little bit she can give out of that body she has. She's going to give everything. And she's going to be disappointed if she doesn't win, but she's going to, as long as she does her best, she'll be just fine. And that's all we can expect from her, to do her best. I won't put no great expectations on her in those sprints. In the hurdles, though, she's going to have to go ahead and do her thing.
So she comes in the 100, ranked third. So she comes in at 12:11. So
yeah, she's been 11. She's been 11:91. But even with that, that's tough. With this group that she's with Lauren Williams and Simone Mason, who have both been under 11.9. And they are at the top of the age group. And them girls get to the top of the age group, they have something to prove, because they've already battled against those girls that were older than them last year. So they come to play. They come to really get down. So it's going to be tough for her in those sprint events, but she will hold her own, and she will do some great things as a 13-year-old this year.
Now, Tia
Forget
Jones.
about those sprints. She's going to dominate those hurdles. And, I'm a hurdle guy. She's going to dominate those hurdles. And come Sunday, wow, look out.
And I see that she's ranked number 2. So these two look like we've got the making of a rivalry here. The Simone Mason kid from South Dade Express, and then Tia Jones from Full Throttle. I mean, it looks like she... I don't know. It looks like, it's always kind of
maybe
that...
Maybe down the road it could be a rivalry.
Well, Tony, I don't know. Every time I see it, and Mike, you probably can chime in on this, how many times have we seen these kids come through the system? They watch each other. They watch what they do. I mean, I've heard Kendall Williams talk about specific athletes that they look for, and I think they look for each other. And I think it's a good, healthy competition. It steps the game up.
Well, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say I think it does, and it's funny because in the hammer throw, we had the same people that were in the 17-18 girls. If you look back in the 15-16 2 years ago, it was the exact same people. And they actually look forward to coming and competing against each other, and they look forward to either changing the results, meaning I got second last year, I'm going to get first this year, but they know who their competition is going to be every year when they get to this meet, and it's something that the athletes actually, it's great for them because they know, hey, last year I got third place, next year I'm getting second or first, and I'm going to work harder than that young lady or young man did, and I'm going to show them what I got this year. And it's awesome when you can put a couple people that know who they're going to be competing against next year. And then you just never know, because someone may come out of the woodwork, and every year something happens where someone who's unexpected just pops up, and now you've got a third or a fourth person to worry about.
And that's the beauty of youth sports right there. That person that comes out of the woodwork, out of nowhere, and leaves you with your mouth on. Where did that come from? I think some of those rivalries on the field event side, like Mike says, is a little bit more civilized. Those rivalries on the track can get a little bit, they can get a little nasty sometimes. The kids will show great sportsmanship. Sometimes the crowd gets a little bit more into it, and they key the rivalry sometimes a little bit more than athletes do.
I don't know, because, I tell you what, coaching in the collegiate ranks, I have seen these kids take these rivalries. They watch each other. They watch each other through the juniors. I remember talking to Aries Merritt, and he talked about the Cuban hurdler. He said, I ran against him in juniors. I beat him in juniors. So Robles. So when Robles ran fast, Aries Merritt had his eye on him. So these kids watch each other now. It may not be a tenacious relationship, but you better believe when they walk away from that track, they're pissed off if they the warm-up area. Oh, those chests are beaten. They're trying to send the message. It's almost hilarious watching these kids, warm up, making sure that the other kid, watch me. And I know that these kids watch and follow each other for a long time, and they've been competing against each other for years. I mean, I think, what's the kid? Oh, yeah. Hey, with Mile Split, you better believe they watch each other.
Yeah, but the fans and the parents are watching those times as well. They're on the internet more than the kids.
Oh, absolutely.
So they're watching, and they're giving messages. Hey, so-and-so just went this. So-and-so just went that. Get ready. We need to go to work.
And I think it's a good, healthy conversation to have with some of our athletes and trying to get them to, or for us, or people who are just track and field purists, to try to get track and field as a main staple of everybody's thoughts and having those discussions. I mean, you think about it, you have in football, you have fantasy football and basketball, baseball. We don't have fantasy football. And, Tony, I love pushing this button. Let's, making some predictions, and we don't have to be right, but making those predictions. I mean, Mike, you say you have a good chance. You're a coach. Don't give me that. I know you sit in there and say, you should win. And it's okay. And if you don't win, they're still going to say, see, you didn't win. Now we have a household conversation. And I always kind of like to get back to that. So I'm going to come back to you, Mike, and make sure that we really have some real serious conversation. I think people would really enjoy, who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is the best? That type of thing, just like the athletes do.
I never talk about winning. I'm sorry, Mike. I never talk about winning as a coach. I always talk about just executing and let the chips fall where they may, and just dig deep within yourself to make sure your execution is on point, that your preparation is on point, and that you are prepared to execute your best on that particular day.
Yeah, right. But
we may set a goal that's better than the person we know that's good at it, but.
Oh, yeah, Tony, right. We're at the big dance. You didn't come to the big dance to just come. You came to the big dance to walk away with the gold. I mean, this is the biggest stage that these kids are going to be in front of, most of them. So I hear you, and I love your scholarly approach to it. But that's not the conversation we're having with those athletes when we get behind the curtains. You're like, hey, we're here to win. There's 3 spots on here. Which one do you want? Gold, silver, or bronze? And that's okay. Like I said, I think the other sports, they love talking about it. They love talking about domination or the number one athlete or the best athlete. I mean, Mike, we do the indoor track and field athlete of the year. Have we ever thought about doing the top 100?
Well, no, and
ever.
I agree with Coach Tony about doing all the preparation and the doing all the work involved. But when we come here, I talk to all my kids about, hey, we got to come home with a victory. I mean, you got you got to get it done, and it's time to get it done, because when these kids, especially 17, 18-year-old kids, go out to college, their college coach isn't going to say, let's get them next year, because they're trying to win that conference meet, that national championship, and those kids are going to have a little pressure on them next year. And I'm not trying to put pressure on them. I'm just saying, hey, we've done all the work. We're seeded first, second, or third. Let's try to leave here with the gold medal. And I'm not talking to a kid who's ranked 16th or 22nd and saying, let's come with the gold medal. I'm taking someone who's, bring them in, they're ranked top 3 now. Now we are coming home. That's our mindset. Come home with the gold medal. And I will talk about that with the kids, because, like I said, I've got, one of my kids got 8th place. He was seated 16th, and his goal was to get on the award stand. That was it. Now, I wasn't talking to him about winning, but I had a kid who was seated first. I said, we're leaving with the gold medal. And that was our whole mindset throughout the whole competition. And funny thing is he got passed in the 3rd round. In the 6th round, he threw his best throw of the day and passed the kid back to win. And if I would have said, hey, just do your best, the whole competition, he might not have won. But I said, hey, you still got to win this. He improved every throw in the competition, but he's still going into his last throw. He's in 2nd place. And I reminded him going in the last throw, hey, we still haven't come here and accomplished our goal. You're throwing well, you're doing well, but we came here to win. And he got in the ring on his last throw and put together the winning throw. And that's the kind of thing as a coach and an athlete that you remember for a long time. Those are the kind of victories that just make you smile, because you did all the training, you did everything you could do. Kid gets in there on his last throw and wins the meet, the national championship, and you just, those are the kind of things that stay with you a long time, and it makes you love being a coach. It's just, that's what these championships are about. You remember those kind of days.
Absolutely. I mean, every single day. And you were telling him to get it done. So I hear you on one side, but then I see that coach come out in you, and you're pushing.
Yeah, trying to get him to execute.
You're trying to get him to execute, but at a certain point, I heard a few of the terms, and I won't discuss them. I won't divulge your game plan, but I know that as coaches, we're trying to drive those athletes to victory, because we feel that we know what it takes. And I think it's okay to talk about that. And I think it's okay to say within reason that we don't live vicariously through our kids, but we do push our kids to their innate ability. And then what do? I've always seen Mike Judge say, I'm coming home Friday night, and on Saturday I can see him out there at a competition. So I know we are focused on winning, because there's an equation to win. Winners win, losers lose.
Mike is different than me, Ian, because Mike has a wall full of gold medals. You know what I'm saying? He has a program over there that just manufactures gold medals, and I'm very proud of what he does, and I always speak very highly of him. I love it to death. But I'm still coming up, trying to come to that type of level right there. So it's easy, not easy for him, but I certainly understand his thirst and his quest for that, because he does a great job. He puts those athletes up there, and they get it done.
No, I think a lot of the Georgia coaches get it done.
Thank you for that, Tony. I appreciate that. I don't really have a wall full of gold medals, though, but I'd love to have one.
Just the literal wall.
I know.
Well, gentlemen, hey, I'd like to thank you very much for your time here, and we're going to leave here with just a few thoughts. So, what's in tune for Georgia on the field, Mike? What do you expect?
Well, I expect some good, couple good shot put competitions tomorrow. I'm looking forward to this, and I think we should come away with, I would say at least in the shot put, at least top three medals in the two shot put competitions that are tomorrow. and the women's shot put, and I think we should come away with one top three in the discus and in the boys' discus tomorrow. So looking forward to that. And we don't really have, I don't think we have any javelin. I think the javelin's is coming up this weekend. So I think tomorrow we're looking forward to some good shot put stuff and maybe a good place high top three in the discus. So looking forward to that.
Tony. All right.
We'll have a young woman in the long jump she's going to be favored to win 17-18 long jump. Denzel, he's going to be right there in the mix in the long jump in the 15-16 age group. Could do some things there. Could win it. He very well could win it. He has a teammate in the 17-18 age group who could also win it there as well. So we'll see some good things in terms of the long jump, as well as some good triple jumpers going in there. With 14-year-old boys, we'll have a triple jumper in there. The aforementioned Tiffany Flynn will be tripling as well as long jumping. So we're going to do a good job in those jumps as well. High jump, we're going to struggle a little bit. Robert Dunning and the 15-16 boys kind of stepped up last weekend with 6'6". He's going to be looking to do some things there. It's going to be just a super meet as it always is.
Been working with him. He's been
Riddle has been great over the last few years. He's getting better and better. He's at the bottom of that young men's age group, so he's it's tough. It's tough in the young men's age group in the high jump this year.
Oh yeah.
Cunningham is there. The other kid that's actually seated ahead of Cunningham right now. The great Randall Cunningham, the quarterback. His son is a high jumper. He went 7'2" last year as a 16-year-old.
Well, we always know that we've got
competition to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great competition to watch. Oh my God, I can't wait to see that.
So predictions on the track. We're going to start with 100 meters. Who do you think will be there from Georgia? Men and women. 100 meters. Who's going to be on the track?
100 meters, we're going to struggle a little bit in the 100 meters. And I know we talked about the 14 and under girls and how they were going to do. Tia's going to be right there in the mix, but Candace Hill will also be right there in the mix on that one. The younger age groups, we got a 10-year-old boy who's going to get in there, Tyler Matson. He'll be in there. We're not gonna do a whole lot. We're gonna make some noise in the 2s and the 4s though. But.
Okay, let's move up to the deuce and the quarter. So, who do I expect from Georgia to be in the mix, in the conversation on Sunday, in that 400 or that 200 meter final?
We talk about the 400. I don't talk about the younger age groups too much, but the 10-year-old boys. Tyler Matson and Gabriel Irvin represent Georgia in that 400. Tyler's been 58. Gabriel went 59 last weekend. It really kind of set the stage for a pretty good meet that's going to happen. A little boy from Miami also in our region is going to be there, so that's going to be a great race to watch. In the older age groups, Micah Abernathy and the 15, 16-year-old boys, he has been a stud since he was 8. He's really very cut up, good-looking young man. I keep telling him he was more cut up when he was 8 than he is at 16 now. So he does a great job. Alexis Jones in the 14 under girls, she's been 57-1. Her first summer ever competing. She's going to do a great job being in the mix like that. We have 15, 16 girls. We've got 3 or 4 from Georgia that'll be seated right there in the top 4. They could do some great things. Leah Abrams has been 54 before. Janae Nichols has been 55 very low. Serenity Douglas is upcoming. So we're going to be right there in the mix with those girls. Ariel Terrell went 55 low at the region meet. She's going to be competing for gold medal there. So we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a real good time doing this. Ventavious Sears from Columbus Blazers and the young man, Darius Statham from Spring Athletics, one of them big, long, tall sprinters, but tackler power that you talk about. It's going to be some great 400s on Sunday.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much, and we will see you in Greensboro. And want to have this conversation after the championship and see where these predictions actually come out. So we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.